volunteer from Global Kid Media. Introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm Sean Mcmanus. I'm the chairman of CBS Sports, and getting to know you and hearing your story. It's an amazing story, and I give you a lot of credit for what you have been doing and your initiative and your never say never attitude. Very impressive.
Thank you very much. Now, first of all, I want to start off by saying I know CBS gets kind of close with the athletes, and I'd like to express my sorrow to the CBS family on the loss of Kobe Bryant. So
thank you. We have a big, obviously Kobe didn't play college basketball in the U.S., but we followed him, we knew him, and yesterday was, one of the saddest days that I can remember in the history of sports. We were covering a basketball game and a golf tournament, and we did, news updates in the golf tournament, but it was so tragic and so sad and so terrible that I think all of us are still processing it.
For sure. Now, we were talking about an amazing journey. Talk about your journey being everywhere before you came here to CBS. How would you compare and contrast those ABC, NBC, CBS that you've been at?
Well, I was at ABC right out of college when they were the #1 sports division in America with Monday Night Football and the Olympics and Wide World of Sports and all those great events. But I was a PA there for 2 years, and I went to NBC, where we helped build NBC up to being what I think became the #1 sports network. And then I went to work for a man named Mark McCormick, who basically founded the business of sports marketing with Arnold Palmer back in the 1960s. And I was there for 9 years and thought I was going to finish my career there. And then the man who was running CBS, who I knew socially, came and asked me if I wanted to run CBS Sports. And my ambition had always been to run a sports network. And we didn't have the NFL when I got my job, and the NFL is by far the most important programming you can have. So we were successful in bringing the NFL back to CBS, and I've been here now 22 years. So it's been a good run. So I started in network television. I was actually the youngest vice president in the history of NBC, which you'll appreciate, being a young superstar. Then I went to the other side of the table, in the marketing side of it, and then was lucky enough to get a job running CBS Sports. And in the middle of my career here, I also, for 5.5 years, ran in CBS News, which was being done simultaneously with CBS Sports. So it was a tough 5.5 years having two jobs, but it was very rewarding also.
Now, growing up with two parents in media, tell me what that's like as a child and how that maybe helped you get into this business.
It was great. My mother was a really good writer, so I studied and practiced journalism when I was in college. I worked on the school newspaper, and my dad was legendary Jim McKay. And growing up as his son, it was great. I got to go to all sorts of events, whether it was the Olympics or Indy 500 or all sorts of really cool events. So I knew by the time I was 13 or 14 what I wanted to do, that I wanted to be a sports producer or director. It just so happens, I got into production and then I got more into management, although I'm still executive producer of Bryant coverage. So it was a great way to grow up with two really accomplished parents and somebody who was one of the most famous sports commentators ever, and being able to see the industry through his eyes was really was great. And as I said, I grew up in television trucks. So when I was 13 or 14, I said to my dad, I don't want to go to Wall Street, I don't want to become a doctor, I want to be a sports producer. So it worked out well. I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of really good bosses in my career, a lot of really good mentors. So it's worked out well.
I know you've been kind of hands-on when you go to the Final Four. You're always hands-on with the broadcasts and things like that. How is it for you to watch regular TV? Are you always thinking about what you would do if you were the producer, or what you would do?
That's a really good question. The answer is yes. I mean, I watch everything that we do and everything. I try to watch everything that the other networks do. And I try to see what they're doing well, what they're not doing as well, what we can do better. What we can borrow from them, whether it's a new technology or whether they have some other innovation. So all of us who work in sports television are constantly critiquing our own shows and our competition, because that is the competition. And you know, there are 4 different groups from broadcast television who are doing NFL football.
Yeah.
ESPN and NBC and CBS and Fox and the NFL Network. So we are constantly saying, are we doing a better job? Are they doing a better job? So there's this competition in the industry that's really intense. We're all friends. I know the guys at Fox really well. I hope they do a good job on the Super Bowl this year. If the Super Bowl does well, that's good for us because we're doing the Super Bowl the following year.
Yeah.
But I'll be critiquing them and saying, I wish they had done this or they should have done that. And we're all competitive. We're friends, but we're all competitive trying to put on the best broadcasts that we can.
I think I can relate to that a lot too. When I watch TV, I'm constantly watching those sideline reporters, seeing how they do
Right.
it. What can I work on? What can I see in their work that maybe I want to improve on myself when I get to that stage? And I can definitely relate to that as well. Now, I know to be able to get to the stage that you're at, it's a lot of obstacles that come in the way. How have you been able to overcome those obstacles?
I would say just by working harder than anybody else, never giving up, trying to be creative, trying to do more than the job that I'm given. So that when I was a production assistant and my job was to book all the hotels and transportation, do all the graphics, do a lot of the research, pick the music for the opening and closing of the show, pretty much everything, I would always try to do something else. Like come up with an idea for an opening or for a tease or for finding the story about the second string quarterback that nobody knew about, or this person who would be a good up close and personal piece on. So I just tried to do more than my job and tried to impress the people and let them know that if they gave me a job, I was going to do that better than anybody else would, but then I would also do more. And I just, I was the first one in the office for most of my career. The last one to turn off the lights when I had kids, that sort of changed a little bit because I wanted to be home more. But I'm still one of the early, I still get in the office at 7:15, even though I'm the boss and I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's just the way I run my life, and that's the way I run my business. And I respect the same kind of hard work and loyalty from people who work for me as I've been for people for whom I've worked.
That's amazing, and that's that work ethic that you have to have.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do here at Global Kid Media is I flip the switch and have the person I'm interviewing interview me. Now, with your background, it's fit that we do that here.
Okay, sure. If you could be the sideline reporter on any event that's taken place in the past, what would you have loved to have been the sideline reporter on?
I would say for sure some of the Olympics that have happened in the past, they go worldwide. They inspire so many kids watch the Olympics thinking about those athletes. Those athletes themselves have such inspirational stories.
Mm-hmm.
So just being able to be a sideline reporter there, and my purpose is to inspire millions of kids, and I think that's the best way to do that right there at the Olympics.
Good answer. Who's the one athlete or political person or somebody who you haven't interviewed who you'd love to interview?
I would say for sure Michael Jordan would be someone I would like to interview, going from where he's been at playing and now coming up to being an owner of an NBA franchise, and being able to see the contrast of when he played back in the day to now, and some of the stories he has about, obviously he did a lot of work when there were those hurricanes in North Carolina this year. I saw about that. So just an inspirational person like that who has done so much.
And last one, you're 13 now, so in 10 years you're going to be 23. What are you going to be doing when you're 23? Probably just graduating from college. What do you think you're going to be doing?
I'm hoping to work in a field like you. So one day I'm going to grow up, I'm going to want to get a business degree probably in college and be able to get my business degree there and work towards somewhere like you are. You were the youngest one at a time, and I like to be one of the youngest people to do something like that as well.
Well, good. Well,